For those of you eager to explore a new life chapter, this episode is for you. I'm going to read a passage for you from Psalms 32:8, and it reads, I hear the Lord saying, I will stay close to you, instructing and guiding you along the pathway for your life. I will advise you along the way and lead you forth with my eyes as your guide. I'm Angela. Welcome to the first Sunday episode of Rollerset to Mindset. I am so eager and ready to dive into this episode. But before we dive in, I have a pop question for you. Do you believe that transformation is possible for you? I'm going to ask you again, do you believe that transformation is possible for you? Because here's the thing, and I'm speaking from my own experience. When you set out to create a new life chapter, to create transformation within your life, I think where we make our first mistake is we forget the origin of transformation. We forget how transformation comes about. We just want to abracadabra, boom, and the transformation pops up. But this is what I have found to be true. That transformation is an inside job. And everything centered around transformation begins internally, and then it expresses itself outwardly. How many of you agree with that? Put a 1 in the comments if you believe that transformation starts internally and expresses itself outwardly. And if you believe that, welcome to the club. And if you don't, I hope by the end of this episode, some things have clicked, that you have had a change of mind, a change of heart, and you're ready to dive full force into your transformation. First of all, I think what we need to take into consideration is this, that when it comes to transformation, we have got to break off mindsets and traditions that do not serve you, that's no longer serving you. I don't think that you can move forward into something fresh and something new using old mindset or old tradition, because guess what? It's already proven that it has no value. It's already proven that it doesn't lead you or move you from point A to point B. So what do we need to do? First, we have to identify and understand what these mindsets and traditions are that we have to break off from. So the first thing I want to talk about is small-mindedness. Sometimes we want to create a change in our life and it frightens us. What I have found is that when you are either afraid to move forward or you lack luster in moving forward, all that's telling you is that your dreams and your goals and your desires are just not big enough. Because when you dream big, when you desire big, yes, you may be a little nervous about it, but guess what? It creates such a energetic, magnetic force within you that you just have to take action. It doesn't leave room for you to stand still. And the thing that causes us to think small is fear. And all of us have heard the saying, fear is false evidence appearing real. Fear is not real, but we allow it to feel real in our lives because it doesn't challenge us to move forward. So let's begin to break off the mindset of small-mindedness. The second thing you need to consider and move as far away from as you can are patterns that do not fit or complete the new puzzle that you are dreaming about, the new puzzle that you are trying to create in your life. Old patterns. Old patterns can never work because old patterns do not fit the mold. Because when the patterns are old, there's a chip here, there's a crack there. You can't find this piece when you're trying to create your puzzle. So it's never going to fit. So if you are trying to create a new experience using old patterns, it's never going to fit. You might can try jamming it in, or you might fall for a subpar creation, but it's not going to be the full transformation that you desire, and more importantly, that you deserve. The other thing that you need to break away from in terms of old mindsets and traditions that's not going to serve you in your new chapter is new tools. You cannot use tools that are no longer efficient. You need new tools. You need new tools that are more efficient and that are designed, did you hear me? Tools that are designed to break off thoughts that have rusted out. That have rusted out, because when something has rusted out, it lacks everything. It poisons the whole thing. It poisons the whole pond. It will poison your whole creation, your whole goal set strategy. So get rid of old tools that just haven't been working. If there's a trade or something new that you need to learn it. And if you can't learn it, then guess what? You've got to pay someone to do the work for you. When it's time to create something new, you want to work with tools that are more efficient instead of using a tool that's going to take you 2 hours to create something. Find tools that's going to take you a fraction of that time. The other thing that I want to encourage you to break away from, and that is doing things with no excitement. In other words, doing things lackluster, doing things that lack love, that lack the luster of joy, that lack the luster of encouragement, that waters down the true meaning of what you're trying to achieve. When you're ready to step out, you've got to act like it. You've got to be about it. You've got to wake up ready. You know what I mean? You just can't jump in with a lackluster energy. Energy moves. Energy is everything. Energy is everything. And so when you've sat down and wrote out a list and you've prepared yourself for moving forward, the energy comes with it. So don't attempt to create a new life chapter when you haven't done the basic steps yet. And the basic is thinking about what you want to do, creating an outline of how you're going to get there. And the third step is to take action and get to work. And once you've done all of that, once you've become familiar and friends with all of that, the next thing you want to do is ask yourself is, how do I stay the course of transformation? How do I stay the course? Because here is the thing, and this is true 100% of the time. We do come to a point in which we just don't have the motivation. We might have the desire, but we do not have the motivation. So how do we stay the course to complete our mission? What is the strategy for staying the course of creating your new life chapter? And there is nothing more powerful than God's word that will lead you there. You've got to study God's model so that you can become the model. Did you hear me? If you want to stay the course in creating this new life chapter that the Lord has placed in your spirit and placed on your heart, you cannot do it in your own strength. You've got to follow his model so that you can become the model. Remember the old and embrace the new. Don't forget about the old, like the Old Testament. Don't forget about the letter of the law, but take that and fulfill it with new ideas, with new testaments to what your life could be and how it could be, what it could look like and how it could look like. Recognize the promise of the promised land. Recognize that the promised land is filled with new and exciting days. It's filled with life. Recognize that the promised land is filled with new leadership. You allowing the Lord to be the leader of your life, and you fall in line with the direction of that leadership. In other words, you want to partner with God, not separate from him. And when you allow God to lead you into your new chapter, into your promised land, you can't go wrong. Yes, you may have struggle. Yes, you may have challenges, but guess what? You can get through it. Why? Because you are following a plan that does not fail. In other words, you've got to forget the former days. Forget the power that your former days had over you. And you've got to stand in the beholdness of God. And you got to understand that God is doing a new thing and that you've never seen before. In other words, you've got to trust not the process, but trust God's process. And the only way you can trust God's process is to spend time with him, developing that relationship. And guess what? His spirit will lead you into all truth. Okay? That you got to get that. In order to stay the course, you have got to know God's model and be willing to follow his plan. The third thing I want you to consider is the idea of embracing it, embracing the process of growth. I don't know why we think that we can achieve great things without struggle, without embracing the feeling of anxiety that can sometimes be that can come up when we're starting or trying a new thing. I don't know why we have a tendency to compare our year 1 to someone's year 10. We've got to stop that. We've got to understand that the person who's been doing well in life and moving forward and creating all these new chapters and experiences in their life, they started right where you are. And they had to go through everything that you fear going through. But on the other side of that fear, of that false evidence appearing real, is your promised land. And don't forget that. Don't let fear keep you from experiencing your own natural birthright. So you've got to learn to embrace the process of growth. I know that's a hard one. It's still a hard one for me, because a lot of times I find myself wanting to plant the seed. I find myself wanting to water the seed. And I find myself wanting to give my own self the increase. But this is what 1 Corinthians 3:6 tells us. It tells us that one plants, one waters, but God gives the increase. So you go ahead, begin by embracing the process of growth. Plant your seed. Plant your seed and trust the process that it will grow. Trust the process, that the next step that it needs, if it needs water, the water will be poured on it. It will be poured over it. Trust that the sun will give it what it needs. Trust that the fertilizer will be in the soil, and trust that the Lord will give the increase if it is in His will for you to have it. And the way to find that out is what? Like we said earlier, develop that relationship with God through prayer, through meditation, through taking action, through course correcting, all the things. That's right, all the things that comes with growth. And recognize that, yeah, sometimes you are just going to feel like you're in a wilderness when it comes to growth. But remember that you have to recognize that even in your wilderness experience, that it does have value. Sometimes our wilderness experience, where things just not happening fast enough, it's because we're being worked on. You know, sometimes we just have to be worked on. And we got to be okay with that. Life is life, but life ain't beating us up just to beat us up. Sometimes life beat up on us to teach us a thing. So just recognize that when you find yourself in a wilderness experience, it's okay. Relax. Keep doing the positive things that you've always been doing. Learn how to diminish the negativity or diminish the slothfulness. Just diminish it. And remember the positive and keep acting on the positive as best you can. And also, when it comes to embracing your growth, you've got to stay planted on solid ground. Did you hear me? You've got to stay planted on solid ground. You have to deepen your commitment. Deepen your commitment to staying refreshed, to staying renewed as you pursue and as you overtake and as you recover all of your stuff. Because I promise you, your stuff is waiting. If God said it, He meant it. And if He said it and He meant it, it will come to pass as we put forth the effort, as we continue to build our belief, as we continue to build our relationship with the Lord. It will happen. But lean in a little closer. Lean in. If you're still with me, lean in. Because I don't want you to miss this. I don't want you to forget this. And this that I'm talking about is the foundation. The foundation. Understand that the foundation is Lord of Lords. The foundation is Jesus Christ. The foundation is Jesus Christ. You got to build your new life chapter. You've got to create your new life chapter on the foundation that's already been laid. See, you're not creating the foundation. The foundation has already been laid. All you're doing is building, creating upon that foundation that's already been laid. Every new beginning starts with an ending. I'm going to say that again. Every new beginning starts with an ending. And so many times we don't want to end thing one so that we can experience thing two. Understand that each of us, you, me, and everyone else, we all have an integral role and a part to play. We've got to understand that we are not here to gain or to accumulate stuff for ourselves. Not all for ourselves. We get to enjoy the things we create, but we create it not just for ourselves, but for others. Because we learn from one another. If I create and I put it out into the world, I'm not doing it for me. I'm building and creating and putting it out into the world to further something else other than myself, to serve something else greater than myself. That is the foundation. Why do you think we got the gifts that we have? It's not for ourselves, but it's for a larger purpose. And you got to tap into finding out what that larger purpose is. And how do we do that? We do that by spending time with God, spending time with God's word so that we can become more like him. As it is said in Isaiah 43:18 through 19. Isaiah chapter 43, verses 18 through 19. Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. And that is what I want you to remember when you're going through creating your new life chapter. When you're going through building the foundation, building on the foundation of this new life chapter. And that is, it's already built. It's already built. The rock is already built. All we're doing is building upon that which is already sustaining us. And we don't have to be afraid. We're going to have a little struggle. We're going to feel like quitting. We're going to feel like I don't deserve this, imposter syndrome. Oh, woe is me. Why did I quit my job? Why am I starting this? Why didn't I stay where I knew I was comfortable? We're going to have all of those questions. But the closer we get, the closer we get to our breakthrough, the louder these voices are going to sound. But it's just a test. And you have everything you need within you to pass the test. Remember the foundation. Remember, you are only building upon the foundation that was established before you got here, before you even thought of your creativity and your foundation, your creativity and your new life chapter. So go out and make it happen. Trust the process. Believe in the one who gave you the idea. And remember, I believe in you. I'll talk with you soon, okay? Bye.